This story was sent to me by Jamal Ross, and it is coming out of Wisconsin. Well, the University of Wisconsin. And it's involving this man by the name of Alec Cook, who just found out he got sentenced to 3 years in prison for sexual assault, choking, stalking, and probably a plethora of other charges. Now, I didn't know who this person was when I first saw this picture until I typed in his name and came across this picture. And I said, now I know who he is. Because I think I remember talking about him in a video on my old channel back when all of this first happened. But it got buried underneath many other stories. And now it brings us to this current present day picture of him crying in court, being sentenced to 3 years. First off, I don't even know why he's crying. And second of all, he got a slap on the wrist. He only got 3 years in prison for something he should have got way more time for. I bet he probably thought he was going to get 3 months like Brock Turner or probably simple probation, but apparently that didn't work. But I mean, 3 years compared to a lot of black men that's in jail right now who've been falsely accused of rape and have had to spend some 10 plus years in jail for something they didn't do. And that means that's 10 years off their life. This guy actually did it. Let me go ahead and read this article. It says a judge on Tuesday sentenced a former University of Wisconsin-Madison student to 3 years in prison for sexually assaulting 3 female students and choking or stalking 2 others. Dane County Circuit Judge Stephen Alec also sentenced Alec Cook, age 22, of Minnesota to 8 years of extended supervision once he's released from prison. Cook pleaded guilty to the charges in February. Prosecutors were seeking 19 years behind bars, while defense attorneys sought probation with the possibility of jail time. Elk said he had to give Cook credit for having no criminal record, no bail violations, and sparing the victims a trial. Now hold on. If this was a black person and they had all 3 of those, which I just mentioned, they would have bypassed all 3 of them and threw the 19 years at them, whether they did it or not. The judge said he hoped that the end of criminal proceedings against Cook would give closure to the victims, some closure. What I want them to know is that I listened to those voices very carefully. I want them to know that it's okay that they didn't agree with me on some of the motions that they've been referred to. What I do want them to know is I tried my level best in this case, in every case that I have before me, to be fair to everyone. In court, Cook tearfully apologized to the women, telling them what happened was not their fault. I'm sorry I was wrong, Cook said. You told the truth and everyone should believe you. This is my fault. You didn't deserve this and neither did your families. To them, I am sorry too. One victim said in her impact statement, part of me died in order to survive that night with him, and that part of me will never grow back. Please continue to be kind, the judge said to the victims in sentencing, and positive, and don't let him take that from you. Cook, a former UW-Madison business student, was initially charged with more than 20 crimes against nearly a dozen women, including misdemeanor disorderly conduct and felony sexual assault for incidents between September 2014 and October 2016. He pleaded guilty in February to 3 counts of third-degree sexual assault. He also pleaded guilty to choking and stalking charges. After reaching a plea deal, the remaining charges were dismissed, but the judge was allowed to consider them in sentencing Cook. Cook was expelled from UW-Madison in June 2017. The State Department of Justice handled the prosecution. Republican Attorney General Brad Schmel said in a statement that he was disappointed Cook only got 3 years and deserved a much longer sentence. Now, that's shocking coming from someone who was a Republican. That I actually agree with what he said. He should have gotten way more than 3 years. This sentence was way too light, but they took into consideration because he didn't have a criminal record, he didn't have bail violations, and whatever else that other thing was that I said that if this was a black man, they would have threw the book at him. And we know that would have happened. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is disappointed that Alec Cook did not receive the much longer sentence the prosecution team recommended, which was 19 years. And we still believe that this is what Alec Cook deserves. We hope that the fact that Alec Cook stands convicted as a felony sex offender and is on his way to prison will give survivors faith that there are people in the criminal justice system who stand ready to fight for their justice for them. Asked if the agency would appeal the sentence, DOJ spokesman Johnny Coromino said only defendants can challenge their sentences. Defense attorneys for Cook criticized the prosecution for mudslinging and raising the lenient sentence of ex-Stanford student Brock Turner in their sentencing memorandum, the State Journal reported. See how they try to flip it and say the only reason they're trying to throw the book at him is because of the license that Brock Turner got, which was 3 months. Why wouldn't they throw that in there? The reference was a clumsy attempt to bully the court, Justin Nicholson Goetz said at the hearing. It's the court's duty not to be bullied, not to be swayed by public opinion. Well, guess who got swayed by public opinion? Bill Cosby. A man who is 81 years old, I believe. That got swayed by public opinion. And every other black man that they have now accused of sexual assault under this Me Too Time's Up BS. And speaking of Me Too and Time's Up, I would like to hear how vocal they are about him. I know they weren't really vocal back when this happened, but they can be vocal now. But you know they won't because of two things. One, he's not a celebrity, and two, he's not black. So you ain't gonna hear them femma cunts say anything. The white ones and the black ones, you ain't gonna hear nothing from them. You ain't gonna hear nothing from Me Too. You damn sure ain't gonna hear anything from Time's Up. To them, he's expendable. Like, he's whatever. Now, if this was a black guy, oh, they would have hopped all over it. We would have heard toxic masculinity and all types of stuff. We would have had a very disparaging article from The Root, probably written by Damon Young, on that website. But because he doesn't fit the criteria, we won't hear a peep from them. But that 3 years, that's a joke. But that also lets me know too that he probably, I don't know it doesn't specify who he sexually assaulted and did these things to as far as race goes. But it was still a disgusting act nonetheless. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one.